This is June 16th, 2014, prior to the track resurfacing project. Just taking a look at the old surface before it gets torn up. Contractors will be here tomorrow to begin the track resurfacing removal. Get closer here to some problem areas that we had on the front stretch. Here's some major peeling issues we had right around the 50-meter dash starting area. Some more peeling issues. And the major peeling issues we have here right around the start of the 100 meters coming out of the turn. Major peeling. Lots of loose rubber topping material. And we'll be taking a video starting tomorrow when they start removing this top layer of rubber coating. And as the project continues, there'll be more footage. This is day one of the removal of the track.
This we gotta get rid of, all this.
This is day 2 on the job. They chose to use a different machine to remove the top layer, and as you can see, it seems like it's working a lot better than the previous machine they were trying to use. So the removal process should speed up considerably compared to yesterday. That's day 3 on the job. They are probably about halfway done with the front stretch. Close. They are bringing in some more grinders to grind some more of the top surface off of the track area. So maybe this will speed up the process a little bit. This is day 7. The guys worked all weekend and have made quite a bit of progress. We're looking at the main straightaway here. As you can see, a lot of the edging they cut out, they'll have to still do some cleanup, but they are planning to widen this area, use all of the blacktop surfacing, and put tracking material back in that area so that the lines will all fit on the track matting surface. As we approach the back straightaway, they're having a very difficult time removing the top layer from the rubber matte surface, simply because it has bonded so well. So I'm not sure what our approach will be. They have scuffed it. They're going to remove majority of the, they're going to remove all of the loose areas, and the boss is going to take a look at it again to see whether it would be alright to go ahead and coat over top. They're planning to do a scratch coat over the entire surface, front, back, well, the entire track. And that's not typical, but they just feel that that would be the best way of taking care of our track with the problems we've had in the past. As you can see, the guy's using a blower to blow the loose areas, the dust and small chunks of track surface off the track. They're still working around the last turn. Appears to me that this is where they're basically going to end up, as around the turn closest to the athletic storage building. As you can see here, they marked with white chalk some of the areas that they noticed puddled, so they will address those areas whenever they start putting the top coat on. There may still be some puddle areas, but they're going to try and push the puddles off of the track with the by building the track surface up. Most of the puddling areas were on the front stretch. As you can see here, they have a a guy going around with a hand grinder, and he's just taking off some of the rubber areas that were left behind from the bigger machines, just to make sure they have a good bond between their coating and the rubber mat surface. This crew had just, their last job was the Atlanta, Georgia Olympic Stadium, that they just resurfaced that particular track. These guys are very, very particular in everything that they've done so far. So I feel sure we're going to have a very, very nice track surface once they're completely done. This is day 8. The primer was installed on majority of the track surface, and now they are putting the sealer on.
¿En qué han perjuntado los arbitrajes a Brasil? Argentina. No, a nada, yo no estoy diciendo.
They have filled in the areas that they cut out of the track surface that were curling, and have now filled it in with a track infill material that is level with the existing track surface. They're getting ready to mix up some of the infill that's used to fill the track edges in. What they've done here is they've removed the pole vault box, and it was not done correctly the last install, so they decided to tear the mat up around that area, and as they tore the mat up, they noticed that the box was loose, so they're going to reset that and bring the box up to runway height. But as you can see here, some of the blacktop has come up from the original blacktop, about 2 to 3 inches thick. The bond was not there, so they're planning to, I believe they're planning to pour some concrete back in that area, over this entire area, and then reset the pole vault box and prepare the surface for their top coat. We're taking a look at the pole vault plant area. It was improperly installed the last time when the track was done in 1990s. The pole vault plant box was about 3 to 4 inches lower than the runway, and it's supposed to be even with the runway. So Eddie and his crew tore out the blacktop, which was loose, and installed this pour in place mat material. It's a rubberized material, just basically like a rubberized blacktop, and they cut all the area out where the slope, where it had sloped toward the pole vault plant area, and installed this rubber mat material. So it's curing right now, and by the time they're ready to install the top coat on the runway, it will be set up. But they brought this box area up about 3 inches higher than it would have had been previously installed. This is day 10. They've got their bags of crumb rubber spread throughout, and then the white sacks around the perimeters of the track, preparing to put the top coat on. My guess is half the track will be completed today. They've got the entire track sealed. The rain didn't affect any of that last night. What they're doing today is taking blowers and blowing the debris, anything that could be loose on the surface, blowing it off, and any water that could be there. But it's warming up quite a bit here this morning. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and looks like they're going to be getting ready to start on the top surface here today. Now they're coating the top finish coat. This is still day 10.
Yo que sufro por mi gusto esa triste pena que me da tu amor. No me importa lo que me hagas, si en tus besos vive toda mi ilusión. Aunque pase lo que pase, este pecho amante es no más de ti. Aunque yo quisiera, no puedo olvidarte, porque vives ya dentro de mí. Sabrosita, que eres un...
This is still day 11. They're getting ready to start putting a top coat on the remainder part of the track. It's about 3:30, and they plan to finish the track portion today, and then they'll be back tomorrow to address the areas on the runways and the high jump area, and next week they will be completely finished, probably about Monday or Tuesday. This is day 11. Yesterday they coated top coat on about half of the track. What they've done is they've swept the excess rubber into piles, and they'll reuse that the rest of the way on the rest of the project. It's a really, really soft surface. As you can see here, they're taking a broom drag and brooming the final brushing of the track surface. So after that's completely done, the track will be ready for paint. They just completed the final area here around the turn and into where the 200 started. They just completed that about a half hour ago. They won't be able to be on that area until tomorrow. So they're just going around the areas, cleaning up the excess rubber on the surfaces that were laid in on Friday and Saturday. Just basically cleaning up today, and tomorrow they'll be back to finish everything up. Today's the day we're going to start getting some stripes on our track. Striping is going to be done by Athletic Marking Company. They're a subcontractor for Track Surfaces Company. And he's making his way back around to where he started. As you can see here, we're going to walk the track and point out some of the various markings that was added to the track surface. The black markings, as you see here, are for the 4x200 relays. We do not currently run that race, but some teams that we face in Maryland, we have to run that race, so now we have the proper markings for our track in case PIAA adopts that race for the state of Pennsylvania. You can see the green hashes here between lanes 3 and 4. The green hashes go through over to the start of where the 300 at. This is considered to be the stagger start for mid-distance to long-distance runs. As we get over to the 300 area, that line will stop, and that allows the runners to get back into the first 3 lanes to complete the distance runs. You can see some of the triangles. These are for the relay races, and you'll see the numbers coming up here. We had the numbers placed behind the start lines simply because we feel as though that will keep the paint on those numbers. It should last longer for us. So right here is the crossover line, and was placed on there to indicate that. Just going down the back stretch right now, we'll be approaching the start of the 200. More of the hurdle markings. Black for, I believe, the 400 meter hurdles, green for the 300 meter hurdles. We do not run 400 meter hurdles for the state of PA, but some colleges run that, so we will have those proper markings in case PIAA adopts that race also. Here we are approaching the start of the 200. As you can see, like I said before, the numbers are placed behind the start of each starting area to avoid extra wear on those numbers. We're going to go over to the pole vault area here next. This was a problem area that they did address when they were here. The pole vault area planning box, which is right here, was about 3 to 4 inches lower than what it was supposed to be. Taking the cover off here now, this is the wedge that they made for us out of the track material. Though track teams will place that wedge in there after each practice to avoid water getting down into that landing box. That was a problem we've had in the past. Water would lay in that whole landing box, planning box, and now that shouldn't be a problem as long as the track teams put that back into place each evening. It's flush with the top of the runway. This is the old cover that we had, which would allow a lot of water to go through. They did cover that for us, so we will utilize both of those covers and the wedge to eliminate all the extra water. They also covered the pole vault standard pads. This is just looking back on the area that they had to build back up. We're going to go back over to the turn area, what I consider to be the third, fourth turn. we'll be approaching the main straightaway. More of the hurdle marks. Coming up on the straightaway here, something they did with our track was, instead of making the dashes where it meets the main portion of the track, they made the turns a solid lane line, and the straightaway is dashes, as you see here. Reason being, it's easier to run a straight line than it is to run around the curves for the runners. So they like to have that solid line there, so that you can follow the turn easier on your relays or 400 meter dash and below, 400, 200 meter dashes. This was also a puddle area. They did build that area up. Hopefully they eliminated as many puddle areas as possible. And here we are heading down the straightaway, looking back at the transition coming out of the fourth turn. And we'll slowly approach the finish line where we started. More of the hurdle marks. Black diamonds or black triangles are for the 4x200. There's your 4x800 markings, and there's the finish line. Now we're going to go over to the long jump, triple jump areas next. We added a new runway. For the furthest runway away is the brand new runway. Some grass growing over top of the runway already. We have since then filled or sprayed those areas, and we'll continue to do that to avoid any vegetation growing over top of the runways. Here's the new runway. We had an additional board added for the triple jump, which is this yellow line here for the junior high kids. Now that we run junior high track, the kids cannot make it to the pit using the existing line that was closest to the pit, so I requested that there be an additional line painted there. We used to use athletic tape to tape across there during events. Other schools do the same thing, and I think it was best just to have a line painted there. And here's the old pit with the same markings, same distances as the new pit has. Looking back on the new pit, we had to install some curbing that's below the surface of the sand. This helps keep the sand in place. And that concludes the new track surface that was completed by Track Surfaces Company.